On the 23rd of February 1945, a lone B-29 bomber was forced into a suicide zone over Tokyo. With an entire air force hunting it, history says it should have been destroyed in minutes. This is the true story of the 27 minutes that defied history, the gunner who became a legend, and the impossible fight for survival that no one saw coming. Watch until the end to witness one of the most incredible aerial combat stories ever told. Now, I have a question for you. Pay close attention because the answer is hidden somewhere in this story based on what you've just heard. What one piece of forgotten technology allowed a trapped and wounded gunner to keep fighting after his turret was destroyed? The answer is in this video. Keep watching to find out. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to subscribe for more. The 23rd of February 1945, 8:47 hours. The B-29 Superfortress was never meant to do this. It was a stratospheric weapon, a silver giant designed to fly above the weather, above the flak, above the fighters, a creature of pure calculation. But on this day, over the skies of Tokyo, calculation has been incinerated. The mission profile is ash. The rulebook is gone. Crewman's personal camera, a single frame, grainy, shaking, it shows not Earth, but a crawling, living tapestry of fire and smoke. The city below is a sun seen from the inside. This is Operation Meeting House, the single most destructive bombing raid in human history. And for one B-29, the nightmare is just beginning. This aircraft, Calamity Jane, is trapped. A malfunction has forced it down from 30,000 feet into the furnace. It is now wallowing at 12,000 feet directly in the kill zone of every Japanese Army and Navy fighter that can still fly. The math is terminal. 1 4-engine bomber, alone, bleeding altitude. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to subscribe for more. Against an entire enraged Homeland Defense Force now vectored onto its singular, struggling silhouette. By every known rule of aerial combat, Calamity Jane is already dead. Its crew of 11 knows it. The Japanese pilots climbing to intercept know it. History, written from a safe distance, insists its destruction is a foregone conclusion, but history did not account for the man in the top turret, and it did not foresee the 27 minutes that are about to unfold. 27 minutes that will defy logic, rewrite the limits of human endurance, and transform a flying fortress into something else entirely. A berserk, 4-engine gunship fighting for its life in hell. Inside Calamity Jane, the world has shrunk to a vibrating capsule of noise and fear. The scent is sweat, cordite, and scorched metal. The engines, strained beyond their design, scream a discordant hymn. The pilot, Captain James V. McDonnell, is a man performing 3 surgeries at once, fighting the controls, calculating a navigational miracle, and trying to keep his crew from the psychological edge. He fails on the last count through the interphone. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to subscribe for more. Voices crackle with a strain that has nothing to do with radio static. The gunners report shapes in the haze, first specks, then silhouettes, then the unmistakable lethal profiles of enemy fighters. Not one, not two. A swarm coalescing out of the thermal currents rising from the burning city below. They are Nakajima, Ki-44 Tojos, and Kawasaki Ki-61 Tony's Army interceptors built for this exact moment to shred a crippled giant. Gunner's log excerpt recovered post-mission. The handwriting is jagged, ink-smeared, altitude 11,500 and falling. Port outer engine running hot, count 6 no 8 bandits. Climbing from 9 o'clock, they're not in a hurry. Why would they be? The Japanese pilots are, indeed, methodical. They have the altitude, the speed, and the numbers. Their doctrine is clear: isolate the wounded, attack from the blind spots, dismember the bomber piece by piece. To them, Calamity Jane is not a plane, it is a prize. A guaranteed kill to be claimed over the capital. Their first passes are probing, testing the bomber's defensive fire. They get their answer: a staccato burst from the tail. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to subscribe for more. Another from the left blister. Tracer fire stitches the sky wild. Desperate, the Japanese commanders would note the lack of coordination, the panic in the defensive pattern. The bomber is a cornered animal lashing out. A rational assessment would deem the fight over. The bomber cannot climb, it cannot outrun them. Its only hope is to reach the sea, a sanctuary still 70 miles distant across a wall of fighters. It is a distance that might as well be the moon. And then, the first coordinated attack begins. 2 Ki-44s roll in from the high rear, their 40mm cannons glowing. They have decided to stop testing. They have decided to kill. His name is Staff Sergeant Anthony J. Tony Wasilic. He is 21 years old. His station is the upper forward turret, 2.50 caliber machine guns on a gyroscopic mount, a bubble of plexiglass at the very crown of the B-29's immense back. Until this moment, his war has been one of theory, tracking distant specks, firing long, hopeful bursts into empty sky. Now theory evaporates. The two Ki-44s are not specs. They are detailed engineering, rivets, and camouflage, growing larger with terrifying speed. Their attack profile is textbook, a high-side pass aimed at the bomber's vulnerable wing roots and flight deck. Wasilik's world becomes pure geometry. He is not a gunner, he is an accountant of angles, a physicist of lead. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to subscribe for more. He swings the turret, the electric motors whining, his forehead pressed against the cold rubber eyepiece of the K-4 computing gun sight. He does not lead the first fighter. He leads the point in space where the fighter will be. He fires. The sound inside the turret is not a roar, but a brutal, metallic, ripping like God-tearing sheet metal. Tresursevery fifth round a glowing Redrachout. His first burst is short, he adjusts, a fractional nudge of the controls. The second burst walks up the Tojo's engine cowling, through the cockpit canopy, and into the wing fuel tank. The effect is not a Hollywood explosion. It is a sudden, violent bloom of dirty orange flame that instantly consumes the aircraft. It rolls once, a burning leaf, and disintegrates past the bomber's right wing. Silence on the interphone for a half-second. Then, the tail gunner's voice, cracked with disbelief. "You got him, Tony. You got the son of a bitch." But Wasilic is already tracking the second Ki-44, which is now aborting its pass in a steep, evasive dive. He gives it a parting burst, more warning than threat. The message, however, has been sent. The crippled bomber is not toothless. The relief is microscopic, and it dies immediately. More bandits. Christ. They're everywhere. 9 o'clock level. 12 o'clock high. The voices overlap, a chorus of alarm. The Japanese, momentarily shocked by the loss of a veteran pilot, do not retreat. They adapt. The easy kill has shown its teeth. Now, it must be bludgeoned. The swarm tightens, their attacks losing their clinical precision, replaced by a focused, rolling fury. They begin coming from all quadrants at once, forcing the isolated gunners to choose which death to ignore. Calamity Jane enters a storm of steel. The next 8 minutes dissolve into a disintegrated reality. Calamity Jane is no longer an aircraft. It is a moving tableau of carnage, a 4-engine cathedral being vandalized by devils. Impact reports hammer the interphone, a litany of destruction in flat, terrified voices. Left, blister hit. Okay, guns are out. Tail surface damage. Controls are heavy, Captain. Fire in the bomb bay. Extinguishing now. The air inside the fuselage becomes a toxic cocktail of smoke, the acidic stink of electrical shorts, and the coppery scent of blood. A 20mm shell finds the radio compartment, shredding equipment, and wounding the operator. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to subscribe for more. Shrapnel sings through the air. The bomber shudders under the weight of hits, a beast being flayed alive. Captain McDonnell's task is now apocalyptic. He is not flying an aircraft. He is containing a series of simultaneous catastrophes. An engine feathered, hydraulic pressure dropping, control cables fraying. Each decision is a gamble with 11 lives as the currency. His only vector is east towards the cold, gray salvation of the Pacific. The distance seems to stretch, not shrink. And through it all, Wasilik's turret is a nexus of violence. He has entered a state beyond fear, a cold, hyper-focused rage. The computing gun sight is no longer a tool. It is an extension of his nervous system. He engages not aircraft, but trajectories. A Tony diving from 1 o'clock high, a burst. Sparks along the wing route, a puff of coolant smoke. A Tojo making a flat-side pass, a longer burst. A flash, and the fighter veers away, streaming fuel. He is scoring hits, damaging aircraft, disrupting attacks. But he is not stopping the tide. For every fighter he drives off, 2 more take its place. The Japanese, infuriated by the bomber's stubborn refusal to die, are discarding their own safety. Their passes grow closer, more reckless. The sky around Calamity Jane is a spiderweb of tracer fire and cannon shells. Then, the first ramming attempt, Ki-61. Its pilot, perhaps wounded, perhaps fanatical, does not break off. It aims its propeller directly at the B-29's cockpit. At the last possible second, McDonnell throws the giant plane into a sickening slip. The Tony's wing shears past the nose, missing the glass by feet, cartwheeling into the void below. The interphone erupts. The message is clear. The rules have been abandoned. This is no longer an interception. It is an execution. And the executioners are now willing to use their own bodies as the axe. The near-miss ramming does not sober the attackers. It ignites them. A kind of frenzy takes hold of the Japanese formations. The sight of one of their own committing to a Tayataria body crash transforms the tactical engagement into a spiritual contest. The bomber is no longer a military target. It is a profane object over their sacred capital, and it must be erased from the sky by any means necessary. For Wasilek, the calculus changes again. He is no longer just defending a plane. He is fighting a physics problem with human sacrifice as a variable. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to subscribe for more. He must now kill decisively and immediately before any attacker can settle into a final suicidal trajectory. His next engagement is a study in grim efficiency. A Kifei, emboldened, lines up for a straight rear attack on the struggling bomber's tail, the weakest armor point. It is a fatal error of overconfidence. Wasilek tracks it, lets it fill his sight, and fires a sustained 4-second burst. The Fei-caliber rounds walk with dreadful precision from the engine, through the cockpit, and into the fuselage. The Tojo does not explode. It simply disintegrates in mid-air, its structure atomized by the concentrated firepower. Pieces of wing and cowling slam into Calamity Jane's tail. A new layer of damage from a destroyed enemy. This kill has a different quality. It is too total, too annihilating. It creates a moment of hesitation in the swarm. Captain McDonnell seizes the millisecond of respite. He makes a decision no flight manual would ever endorse. With 2 damaged engines and shuddering controls, he begins a shallow turning descent. He is not trying to evade. He is trying to bait. He is presenting the bomber's broadside, its full defensive field of fire, to the largest concentration of fighters. It is an act of either madness or geniusto. Invite the final general attack on his own terms, while his gunners still have ammunition and nerve. Cockpit voice recorder interpretation, theoretical. Strain is audible in every word. McDonnell to co-pilot, we can't outrun them. We have to outfight them. Steady, hold her steady through the turn. The Japanese take the bait. Seeing the bomber apparently committing a final, fatal error, they converge for the kill shot from the port side. They funnel themselves into the kill zone of Wasilek's upper turret and the still operative left blister gun. The sky constricts. The next 60 seconds will determine everything. Wasilek's guns are hot enough to cook ammunition. His world is a revolving carousel of targets. He picks the first, and the ripping sound of his turret becomes the only heartbeat the crew can rely on. The trap is set. The price of admission is blood. Calamity Jane, flying sideways through hell, becomes an unnervingly stable gun platform for the Japanese pilots. The turn is a fatal illusion, it reads, as a loss of control. A final submission, they press in for the coup de grace, a converging storm of cannon and machine gun fire. Wasilek's turret is the pivot of the slaughter. He is no longer a man making decisions. He is a system. See, track, fire. The electric motor of his turret hums a constant, overheating note as he traverses left, engaging one target after another in a relentless, mechanical rhythm. First, a key, Fei making a flat pass. A burst to the engine, it vomits oil and flames, peeling away. Second, a key, Fei diving steeply. Wasilek elevates, fires. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to subscribe for more. The cockpit dissolves into a mist of plexiglass and debris. Third, another Tojo, overlapping the first. A sustained burst severs its tail assembly. It spins, unrecoverable. The left blister gunner, inspired by Wasilek's lethal precision, finds his mark. His tracers intersect with a fighter's wing root, shearing it clean off. The aircraft corkscrews into the formation below, causing a momentary chaotic disruption. The interphone is now a stark combat. Sharpen feed. 3 o'clock level on him, 6 o'clock high, diving mine. For a span of 90 seconds. The bomber is the eye of a hurricane of its own making. Japanese aircraft are not just damaged, they are obliterated. Wasilek's confirmed kills mount with a chilling rapidity. 4, 5, 6. The swarm, moments ago a coalesced fist, begins to fray at the edges. The cost of approaching this wounded Leviathan is being written in fire and falling metal, but attrition is a two-way street. The sheer volume of incoming fire is a statistical certainty. A 20mm shell, likely fired in a dying fighter's last convulsion, strikes the base of Wasilik's turret. The plexiglass bubbles and cracks. Shrapnel peppers the interior. The turret seizes, its traverse mechanism jammed. Wasilik is violently thrown against his restraints. A hot, sharp pain radiates from his side. The world outside his fractured dome is a blur of smoke and motion. But his field of fire is now frozen, fixed on a single, useless slice of sky. The heart of the bomber's defense has just been stilled. The remaining Japanese fighters, bloodied but sensing the shift, regroup for their final, overwhelming charge. On the interphone. It is the loudest sound imaginable. The relentless brrrr of Wasilik's guns. The rhythm that had become the crew's defiant heartbeat has stopped. Answer to the earlier question. And here is the answer to that question. Wasilik's desperate hope lay in a seldom used, almost forgotten manual firing over Radia direct electrical link to his guns that bypassed his jammed turret completely. This piece of technology meant the guns could still fire, but only by aiming the entire 27-ton aircraft. In its place, static, the scream of wounded engines and the rising howl of wind through new holes in the fuselage. Upper turret, Tony. You copy? The bombardier's voice, raw with panic. No response. A gunner's worst fear is not death. It is helplessness. To be a blind, paralyzed node in a network under attack. Wasilik is now trapped in a metal and glass coffin, his vision obscured by cracks, his weapons locked facing empty sky. He can see the shapes of fighters wheeling for their final passes. He can do nothing. Captain McDonnell understands the calculus has shifted again. Catastrophically, the bomber's primary deterrent is gone. The remaining Japanese, perhaps 5 or 6 veteran pilots, see the crippled turret. They sense the kill is now clean. They reform with a renewed, predatory patience. They will take their time. They will dismember the B-29 system by system. Inside the frozen turret, Wasilik's world narrows to pain, frustration, and the searing clarity of impending doom. His hands move over the manual release. The backup systems. Nothing. The hydraulics are severed. The gears are fused by shrapnel. The technology that made him a god of angles has abandoned him. He looks down through the small service hatch into the dim smoke-filled cavern of the forward fuselage. He sees the crew below, unaware of his status, still fighting their own battles. The distance is 10 feet. It is an uncrossable chasm. Then his eyes fix on something else. A secondary armament panel. The B-29's design includes a seldom-used, almost forgotten manual firing override for situations. Exactly this absurd direct electrical link to the guns, bypassing the turret's rotation. The guns themselves are still loaded, still hot. They are just pointing the wrong way. An insane idea, born of desperation and fury, takes shape. To use them, he would have to aim the entire 27-ton, critically damaged aircraft. He would have to become not a gunner, but a co-pilot of carnage. He keys his interphone, his voice a strained rasp that cuts through the chaos. Captain, jammed, I need you to turn the plane. For 3 full seconds, there is dead air on the command frequency. McDonnell's mind processes the request. It defies every principle of bomber survival. Turning towards threats is suicide. Presenting your damaged flank is an invitation for the killing blow. Then he hears it in Wasilik's voice, not desperation, but a cold, lethal intent. The gunner isn't asking for evasion. He's asking for weaponization. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to subscribe for more. Talk to me, Sergeant McDonnell says, his own voice stripped of all inflection. My guns are fixed at 03. 0 relative. I need a target in that cone. You put him there, I'll erase him. It is a pact with the devil of momentum. McDonnell must now fly his crippled fortress not as a bomber, but as the world's heaviest, most fragile fighter plane. He must lure enemy aircraft into a static kill zone no larger than a window pane, held steady in a maelstrom of fire left blister. Cover our 6, McDonnell commands everyone else. Brace, we're going dancing. The first customer is a key -44, circling for a stern attack. McDonnell doesn't flee from it. He banks the groaning B-29 toward it, a lumbering, unnatural movement that confuses the pilot. For a moment, the Tojo is perfectly framed in Wasilik's frozen gun sight. A gift wrapped in velocity and danger, Wasilik fires. The burst is short but accurate. It saws into the fighter's engine, smoke pours forth, the pilot breaks off, wounded. But the maneuver has exposed their belly. A key -61, seizing the opportunity, dives from high above. Cannon shells stitch a line across the bomber's waist, shredding aluminum and wounding another crewman. The aircraft shudders violently. They are trading damage for damage, a brutal exchange rate no bomber can sustain. The sea is still 50 miles away. The plan is madness. It is also the only plan they have. And then the second ramming attempt materializes. Not a dive, but a deliberate, steady level approach from the front quarter. A key -44. Its pilot, visible as a dark shape behind glass, aligns its propeller directly with Calamity Jane's cockpit. This is no desperate act. It is a calculated, ceremonial strike. He is not aiming to collide. He is aiming to merge. Time dilates. The oncoming key -44 does not waver. It is a guided missile of flesh and steel, its pilot having accepted a one-way vector into eternity. In the cockpit of Calamity Jane, McDonnell and his co-pilot see the rising sun insignia grow from a dot to a detailed painting to the final thing they will ever see. There is no room to dive, no power to climb. The bomber's turn has left it ponderous, vulnerable. Every rule screams to brake, left or right to move. That would only present the wing a larger target to the kamikaze. McDonnell does the illogical. He nudges the control wheel forward just a hair. It is not an evasion. It is an adjustment of the geometry of impact. He is aiming the bomber's armored forward, lower turret bulbous. Hardened glass nose directly at the fighter's cockpit. He is not trying to avoid the collision. He is trying to win it. The Japanese pilot, committed to his centerline strike, does not correct. The two aircraft converge at a combined speed of over 500 miles per hour. The impact is not an explosion. It is a catastrophic, grinding disintegration of matter. The key -44's propeller and engine assembly strike the B-29's lower nose. With the force of a locomotive, the fighter disintegrates, its fuselage shearing away and cartwheeling over the top of the bomber in a shower of fragments. Inside Calamity Jane, the universe turns to noise and violence. The entire airframe convulses as if struck by a giant's hammer. The cockpit glass crazes into a million white spiderwebs. Control cables snap and whip in the dark. The shriek of tearing metal drowns out all human sound. For a terrifying, elongated moment, the bomber hangs in the sky, mortally wounded, its nose crushed inward. The remaining Japanese fighters circle, watching, waiting for the death spiral to begin. It does not begin. Somehow, impossibly, the wings are still on. The remaining engines, though, shrieking in protest, still spin. McDonnell, blood trickling from a gash on his forehead, feels a sliver of response in the controls. The B-29, a thing of ruined beauty, is still flying, but it is blind. The navigator station is destroyed. The front is a shattered maw, and ahead, the final, most ruthless tier of the Japanese defense is now alerted to their limping, bleeding progress, the coastal flak batteries, and the fresh, unscathed fighter squadrons orbiting over the sea, waiting to finish the job. The shockwave of the collision passes, leaving behind a deeper, more permanent silence. The roar of the slipstream through the shattered nose is a new, mournful howl. Calamity Jane is no longer a machine of war. It is a collection of failing systems, held together by rivets, wire, and sheer kinetic momentum, dragging its ruin eastward. Inside, the crew operates in a stunned, mechanical haze. The wounded are tended to with shaky hands. Fires are stamped out. The flight engineers watch their panels, whispering prayers to gauges dipping into the red. The mission is forgotten. The objective is now elemental, reach the line where the sky meets the water, but the Japanese are not finished. The remaining fighters, perhaps 4 or 5, have been reinforced by a fresh chute vectored from the coast. They have seen the ramming. They have seen the bomber absorb the unabsorbable. A kind of grim respect hardens into a final, professional resolve. They will not waste more pilots in suicide. They will kill it with discipline. They reform into a lethal queue, setting up for textbook high-speed passes from the rear, targeting the remaining engines and the mangled tail. Their attacks are crisp, economical, devoid of the earlier frenzy. This is a closing statement, and Wasilik's turret is still frozen. His body aches, his side is wet with blood, but his mind is locked onto the new formation. He cannot traverse. But McDonnell can still fly. Captain Wusselik's voice is a dry scrape over the interphone. They're queuing up on our 6 hard starboard turn on my mark. Give me 3 seconds of level flight. It is another demand for the impossible. A starboard turn will expose their already damaged right flank to the killing queue. It is, in every tactical manual, the wrong move. McDonnell doesn't hesitate. Your turret. Mark, McDonnell banks the bomber sharply right. The Japanese-led fighter, committed to his original attack line, overshoots. The second fighter corrects, sliding into the new, brief window of sky presented by the turn. For exactly 3 seconds, that fighter's silhouette fills Wasilik's fixed, fractured gun sight. He fires his last long burst. The remaining ammunition in his belts pours out in a final convulsive torrent of fire. The Fay-caliber rounds find the fighter's fuel tanks. This time, the explosion is vast and finale brilliant. Swelling detonation that lights up the smoky sky. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to subscribe for more. The shockwave rocks the wounded Fay one more time. The remaining Japanese fighters break off. The cost has surpassed value. The spectacle of their comrades' annihilation following the ramming, following the staggering losses already endured, snaps the pursuit. They peel away, becoming dark specks against the haze. Ahead, through the cracked windshield, a thin, hard line appears on the horizon. The sea, it is not salvation. It is a change of arena. The bomber has no navigator, compromised controls, and is losing fuel from a dozen wounds. The water below is freezing, and rescue is a statistical fantasy. But they have crossed the coast. They have, against every known rule, left the land of fire behind. Now they face the mercy of the empty, gray sea. The silence is the most terrifying sound they have ever heard. The guns are empty. The interphone is static, punctuated only by ragged breathing and the low moan of the wind through a shattered airframe. The Japanese fighters are gone, but their absence is not relief. It is an emptiness that amplifies every groan of strained metal, every sputter of the 2 remaining engines. Calamity Jane is dying on her feet. She is a ghost ship, adrift at 8,000 feet and descending in a slow, irrevocable glide. The engineering report is a death sentence. Hydraulic pressure null, controls responding through muscle and cable alone. Fuel gauges flickering towards 0. The navigator is unconscious, his charts destroyed in the ramming impact. They are over the North Pacific in February, lost, with a compromised radio, sending no signal. Captain McDonnell's task is now pure instinct. He is not flying a plane. He is persuading a collection of broken parts to stay in one shape for just a few minutes more. The co-pilot works the manual pumps, fighting to keep a semblance of pressure in the crippled landing gear system for a ditching they both know is unlikely to be survivable. In the shattered nose, the bombardier cradles the wounded navigator, watching the vast gray, indifferent ocean rise up to meet them. It looks like liquid stone, and in his frozen turret, Staff Sergeant Anthony Wasilik takes his first conscious breath since the fight began. The adrenaline ebbs, and the pain in his side screams into focus. He looks at his hands blackened with carbon, trembling. He looks at the empty ammunition belts. The count flashes in his mind the confirmed kills. The damaged aircraft driven off. The number is absurd. It feels like it belongs to someone else. A final, grotesque problem presents itself. The ditching protocol for the B-29 is clear. All crew to their crash stations in the central fuselage. But Wasilik's turret is sealed, its mechanisms jammed shut by the damage that also immobilized it. The manual release lever bends uselessly in his hand. He is trapped in the very weapon he wielded. The upper turret, his fortress, has become his tomb, bolted to a sinking ship. He reports it over the interphone, his voice eerily calm. Captain, upper turret hatch is fused. I can't get out. The statement hangs in the static. There is no time for complex rescue. The ocean is now a detailed texture below, whitecaps visible. The pilot has seconds to set up the ditching, a maneuver that requires his full concentration to avoid cartwheeling the massive plane into the waterwane of the 11, will not make it to a life raft. The mathematics of survival have returned, cold and final. The sea does not care about kill counts. The ditching is not a landing. It is a controlled, catastrophic disintegration. McDonnell holds the crippled bomber's nose high as long as physics allows, bleeding off the last of its speed. The rear fuselage kisses a rising swell, then digs in. The world transforms into a deafening, brutal symphony of shearing metal and shattering plexiglass as the B-29 splits itself apart against the surface of the Pacific. The freezing water explodes and the statement hangs in the static. In the chaos of green water and swirling debris, the survival drill takes over. Men cut themselves free, shove through twisted escape hatches, inflate life vests. The icy shock is a heart-stopping agony. They scramble onto the sinking wing route, then into the 3 small, orange life rafts that bob amidst the spreading oil slick. The final headcount shouted over the howling wind confirms the impossible and the inevitable. 10 men. 1 is missing. From his raft, the bombardier looks back at the shattered, settling hulk of Calamity Jane. He sees a figure, small and dark, moving behind the fractured dome of the upper turret. Wasilik is alive, trapped, watching his crew escape without him. He pounds against the unyielding plexiglass of final. Silent protest, then a shape detaches from the raft. The flight engineer, John Mackenzie, plunges back into the freezing, oil-clogged water. He swims not away from the sinking wreck, but towards it. Using a piece of floating debris as a tool, he hammers at the turret's emergency release from the outside, his strokes growing sluggish in the paralyzing cold. Inside, Wasilik works the interior lever in unison. Metal groans, gives, then snaps. The hatch blows open. Mackenzie hauls a half, drowned Wasilik out as the bomber's tail begins its final steep dive. They kick away as the last 70 feet of Calamity Jane slips beneath the waves, leaving only a stain on the ocean. 11 men now in 3 rafts, lashed together. They have no water, no food. Their radio is silent. They are hundreds of miles from friendly forces, adrift in one of the most hostile seas on Earth. Hypothermia will claim them within hours, but they are alive, and the sky above them is empty. Epilogue: the official credit after debrief would stand at 14 confirmed enemy fighters destroyed by Calamity Jane's crew, with Wasilik personally accountable for the majority. 2 of those kills were ramming aircraft that had already chosen to die. The mission would be studied, the tactics debated, but the human truth would remain in the realm of feeling, not data. For 27 minutes over Tokyo and the sea that followed, a group of men suspended the inevitable. They rewrote a ending that had already been written. They passed through a door of fire that should have consumed them and emerged scarred and broken. On the other side, not as victors, but as witnesses to the fragile, brutal line where calculation ends and something else, something raw, defiant, and human begins. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to subscribe for more.